Now
What page is it?
It's on page 1130
Okay.
of volume 3 of Lord Meher. I'm reading a quote from Baba, repeating a quote from Baba. On December 23rd, while giving a discourse about God realization, Baba revealed, "The velocity of the force of Maya is tremendous and requires stilling. That is, the force of Maya must come to a stop gradually. It takes 5 minutes for this to happen before realization. For example, a train coming into the station does not come to a halt all of a sudden. It slows down gradually after the momentum has stopped. Similarly, due to the speed of Maya, it takes 5 minutes before one realizes oneself to be God." Whoa. Just before realization, the gross, subtle, and mental worlds all become still. But that continuous sound, "I am God, I am God," is there. But this is all beyond mind's comprehension. Wow. But what I'm getting from this is that he's saying that there is the sound, I am God, is always there. But because of Maya, we can't hear it. You see?
Yes. In other words, we're overwhelmed.
We're so caught up in Maya that we forget that we are God. We can't.
Like the story of the tiger with the lamb, with the sheep. He thought it was.
Wow, I mean that's mind-blowing, because it makes you realize, we really are all God, and we're so caught up in Maya that we can't see that. Oh, that's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. Wow. That evening, Pesu arrived at midnight with the last load of things from Toka. He and 4 other men quietly unloaded everything from the 8 bullock carts and trolley. Baba came out at 2 o'clock to watch them. Pesu and Subnis had camped in Toka for several days in the extreme cold, watching over the remaining goods there and awaiting a trolley and carts. They had subsisted on only tea and bread. Baba seldom celebrated Christian holidays, but for Christmas the school was closed on December 25th. Meredith Starr came to visit Baba at noon. According to Baba's wish, no religious formalities were observed. Baba explained to Starr, on all 4 sides, in every corner of the globe, religious precepts and ceremonies prevail. Were we to follow the same old sham and show here, then what would be the difference between us and the world? Here, to obey me is the best religious act you can perform, and by doing so you will free yourself from all the bondages of the customs and rites of religion. I give it to you from the criticism of Baba.
Criticism of Baba by the press was a regular occurrence those days. Behind it was Colonel Irani, who was quite clever and active in his propaganda campaign. He even went so far as to try to persuade Bailey to his viewpoint by bribing him. On December 27th, Baba found out about Bailey's involvement with the colonel and warned, if Bailey succumbs to graft to support his habits of wine, women, and song, he will be like Judas. But I won't allow it to happen. I love him and will see that he does not slip off the path. Soon after, Baba sent Vishnu to Pune, and he returned with Bailey the next day. Bailey sought Baba's forgiveness with tears streaming down his cheeks. He promised Baba he would change his habits and said he would write a fitting reply to the colonel's allegations. Hearing this, Baba explained at length about the current antagonism against him. You should not hate him, that's Colonel Irani. The man deserves to be pitied. We should not act in the same way as he does. We should harbor no bitterness for his criticism, nor try to get the better of him. Instead, we should patiently tolerate his obstructive tactics. How beautiful it was when Christ said, if a person slaps you on one cheek, offer him the other. This is the real thing. Otherwise, there is no difference between the colonel and Bailey. If a man curses your father and you curse his mother, what is the difference between you? Such opponents are friends, not enemies. They teach you the lesson of being calm, patient, and forbearing in every adverse circumstance, in the midst of all provocation. They thereby render you the greatest service. So forbear, forgive, and forget. I like that. So forbear, forgive, forget. The 3 F's. It's cool, huh?
Yeah. Good thing to remember when driving.
Yeah, road rage. Just remember the 3 F's: forbear, forgive, and forget.
Yeah. I get angry sometimes.
Oh, hey, tell me, we all do. Your attitude should serve as an example of forbearance and patience to the world. Therefore, don't become like them. Tolerate everything. Face every obstacle and learn to swallow anger.
Wow.
It is for this reason that Kabir has said, if you want to gulp down anything, gulp down wrath. You have a great lesson to learn from this opposition. Learn that those who spread deceitful lies about our actions and propagandize against us are thereby giving importance to our work without our asking. They publicize our cause, advertising it widely in a way which we could not have done. This is their service to us. Not only this, but by carrying on with all their propaganda, they are always thinking of me and giving me so much importance. This preoccupation of theirs is thus advantageous to them. You serve me in a favorable manner, they in an unfavorable manner, but it is service nevertheless. There is no doubt that in this way they are thinking of me, and that is what matters. Their angle of vision is different, but they have the right to think and express their views and opinions. But while expressing their minds, too often they lose control over their tongues, which leads them to extreme ridicule and makes them scandalize us. Which leads them to such extreme ridicule, which makes them scandalize us. You may resent it and say that this is their weakness, but if you believe this and still adopt the same vituperative attitude toward them, does this not expose your own weakness? There is then no difference between you and them. And it shows that my instructions, discourses, and teachings have had no effect upon you. Compared to them, your weaknesses is greater because you have stayed with me, heard my discourses, and know me, which they have not. So remain calm, put up with the hardships, and be tolerant. Forgive them and forget all. The Mandali, however, were not just sitting idly back in face of the increasing opposition. Dastur and Chanji were vigorously working to counteract the effect of the colonel's campaign to malign Baba. They would write letters to the editors of various journals in Gujarati and English newspapers, which printed the colonel's articles. Chanji even published a booklet in Gujarati about Baba, which included statements from Rustam and Daulat, the colonel's sister, clarifying MeherBaba's mission. Another Muslim boy who had been taken away with Aga Ali in August was Ahmed Mohammed. On December 28th at sunset, as Baba was seated by his crypt cabin discussing matters with the Mandali, suddenly Ahmed came forward and garlanded Baba with roses. He stood with pride before Baba. The little fellow returned to Meherabad, having walked all the way from Bombay over 200 miles. He had gone without food and water during his long journey and suffered many hardships along the way.
He walked 200 miles?
From Bombay to Garland, Baba.
Jeepers.
How greatly were the boys attracted toward Baba, as greatly as moths toward light.
Jeepers, that's an amazing feat. I mean, can you imagine?
I know, you've been there. You've been on that road. Their strenuous efforts to dance near the light make ascending the highest mountain peaks look like child's play. Moths hunger for only light, without which they cannot live. They are at peace only when they turn into ash on the altar of light, and their transformation is their victory over Maya. The wine of love in the Master again was being poured into their hearts. The boys and the light in Baba were reunited in play. Bauji writes, the moths were taught to die while still alive. They learn that true love is that which flows according to the divine beloved's wishes. On December 30th, while expounding on the universe, Meher Baba revealed, the speed of the revolving of the universe is so tremendous that it is impossible to tell whether it is spinning in motion. Look how many people, creatures, and inanimate things there are in this world. Every person and thing has a pulse. Everyone has thoughts, hundreds of thoughts per minute. If all of these thoughts of the whole mass of humanity and all other living beings in the world are put together, no one would be able to measure or think of them. The amount is so measureless. Such tremendous speed has no calculable speed. It looks as if it is in a standstill. The pulse of the whole universe is so infinite, but this pulse I measure, I observe, and I feel. Think of what it must be. I know what the President of the United States thinks or will think tomorrow. I know the same about the Prime Minister of England. It does not take me even a moment to know their thoughts.
This is sort of amazing though, because this is before they had learned how to calculate the speed of light. You know, because it was really Einstein who looks a little bit, Baba looks a little bit like him.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? We're talking about it.
Yeah, but they were able to calculate the speed of light, which means the speed at which things travel, or the speed that light travels, you know.
You wonder, how is it possible? I say it is possible because all this is so close to me. Suppose I pinch Vasant's hand, cheek or belly. Does he feel it? He does, because all these are parts of his body. If I pinch him simultaneously at several places, he would feel the pinches. In the same way, the universe has stuck to me. It is part and parcel of my being. I know and understand the thought of each and every living being and thing in the universe. How? Because I have clasped the universe to my bosom so tightly that I feel every heartbeat in creation. Is that the most unbelievable experience of, wow, I mean, I was talking to us. I mean, I never hear this at a meeting.
No.
This is like jumping. Oh yeah, by the way, I have to, I'm just going to turn this off. Mark, say that story again.
Okay, no, I mean, I was just telling something. This is sort of the way I see Baba in my relationship.
When you were a little boy.
When I was a little boy, how old was I? How old was I? I'm trying to remember how old I was. Maybe in 11 or 12. 11 or 12, maybe around there. There was this new girl that came to our school. And she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. But I kept it inside me. I didn't tell anyone. Do you know what I mean? I was in love with her, but I never told anyone. But it became a big burden to my heart. You know, I felt like my heart would just burst. Because I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't tell her. I didn't tell anyone. You know, and it just reached that point.
Did she sense something? Because, you know, usually they say when somebody loves somebody like that, but she didn't respond to you.
I don't know. I mean, I was very shy. I was very, very shy. So that I would probably even hide it.
You would, even if you...
If she would look at
you, you would still run away.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't show it, you know. But one night, you know, I shared a bed with my brothers. So one night, I just felt I couldn't keep it in. I felt my heart was going to burst because I had the secret.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I couldn't take it anymore. Months I was like this. So with my brother, I said, Julian, I want to tell you something, but please don't tell anyone. And I said, I'm in love with this girl in my class. And I said, you know, unless I tell someone, I feel my heart is going to burst. I said, please don't tell anyone. You know, don't tell anyone. You need promise. And the very next day, something happened. I don't know what it was. It was some conflict between us. And from across the room, he shouted out her name. You know, he just said her name. And I said to Julian, you know, I asked you not to do this. And he shouted out the name again. So what he was doing is he was cheapening my love.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
He was getting back at you by hurting you with that.
The most precious thing.
Exactly. Cheaping. Yeah. I know that happens so often with people when they're angry.
I do that with Baba.
Oh.
I am very careful who I share Baba with because I don't want people to trash it. You know, I don't want people to make fun of Baba.
It's so true what you're saying.
You see,
I sometimes talk to the wrong person. And then I feel, oh, why did I say this? Because they looked at me like, first of all, oh, are you in a cult?
Exactly.
What are you about? Like,
who is this guy?
Yeah, and all of a sudden, no, but they lose respect for you and whatever you're talking about.
Exactly.
And then they diminish Baba like as though he's some kind of charlatan. And then you feel, oh, why did I share it with this person?
Because Baba is so precious to me.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to just trash it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to give someone a picture of Baba and just have them throw it in the garbage. You know, it's sort of like the same thing.
People do that.
Where ever since that experience when I was like 11, I'm so careful about what I share. Like when I was in love with this girl, and I thought, the most precious thing that I have to share with her is Baba. And if she cannot appreciate what Baba is and what he means to me, then I don't want to be with her. Do you know what I mean? If she cannot respect this side of me, then it's better that we are not together. And that's exactly what happened. It's like she didn't know who Baba was. So why waste it, you know? Anyway, so I don't want to just share it everywhere. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, I don't want people to just waste, like Baba would say, you know, money.
Well, I see what you're saying. So like we were talking
just
about
go out there
going to
and
a bookshop or something.
Yeah, it is here, and Baba, Baba himself just chooses selectively who he wants. If Baba wants anyone to come, look, Sam is here, we are here. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, I know one day the world will cry when they find out that God was here and these meetings were here. And you know what I mean? Someone is getting drunk or just wasting away their lives. And you know what I'm saying? They'll say, God was here and you had these meetings and there was nobody here.
Yeah, nobody here.
You know, and we could have just come and enjoyed these meetings, you know.
Very true.
So it's like we give it to Baba and Baba brings wherever he wants, you know. But I don't want to just waste it. I don't want to go from bookstore to bookstore.
No, I agree with you totally.
You know, because people, they'll come and go. They won't even stay. They'll lose interest. You know.
I agree. And secondly, it's very...
And they don't know that he's God, you know. For him to say some of the things he says.
Yeah. And it feels good to be here.
Yeah.
The center.
Yeah. Hey, anyone is welcome, man. Anyone. If 1,000 people were to come right now, they're welcome here.
Find a spot.
Yes.
That's good. Oh, that's good. Baba just talked about because I have clasped the universe to my bosom so tightly that I feel every heartbeat in creation.
Wow, that is just amazing.
While staying at Akbar Press, Meredith's star began to show his true character. Nisawan Sata became fed up with his inconsiderate ways and demanding attitude. There's a little footnote here. Meredith's star demanded dozens of oranges and lemons for his special diet. It was also found out that he was facing the temptation of adultery, and that was another reason Baba wanted Star out of India.
It was an Indian woman, I wonder.
See, anyway, Meredith's wife, Margaret, was unwell and had been sent to Pune by train. Adi Kearani had made the best possible arrangements for having her admitted to the hospital, but early on December 7th, Meredith sent him an angry note asking Margaret and Esther to be sent by train instead of Adi's car. He had no regard for Adi's sacrifices or the expenses incurred. Baba was paying for everything, including his passage to and from India, as he originally been called to bring boys from England to the school. Baba discussed the situation with Rustam, Nusawan, and Adi to try and figure out a way to send the three back to England. Baba had work to accomplish through Meredith, so he did not wish to alienate him. He came up with this ruse instead. And on December 10th, sent Meredith a note. Meredith, I have been doing very important spiritual work these last few days. It has now become imperative that you leave for England at once. If you remain in India, you will die. The two ladies will be saved, but you, being far advanced, will die. Interference by me at this point is undesirable, for one of you must die if you remain in India. It is better you now leave for England. Besides, your presence in England is most desirable, essential at this time, because you have much work to do there for me. Since you are a friend and will always work with the poor, travel to Bombay by the lowest class. I'll say that again. Since you are a friend of and will always work with the poor, travel to Bombay by the lowest class. Begin keeping silence and do not break the silence until you land in England. This is a ruse? Oh my God, he has put this guy on.
But also
no wonder he got so bad.
But also I'm realizing who the woman, Esther is the one that Meredith was obviously becoming attracted to because his wife is not well.
I don't know who Esther was.
Well, it's a companion of the family, you know.
The following day, Chandji was sent to personally explain Baba's wishes. Meredith was told never to mention Baba's name in any mundane matter or to refer to him for purposes of raising funds. He should talk about him only in spiritual matters, wherein Baba would always guide and help him. Baba again wrote to him, Meredith, leave India immediately and take the two ladies with you. It is very necessary, otherwise you will leave your body. I tell you, if I was getting that from Baba, I'd be gone.
I'd read it on the train.
The ruse worked.
Yeah.
After staying with Baba for 6 months, on the afternoon of December 29th, Meredith Starr bade farewell to Baba at Meherabad. According to Baba's orders, he left for England with Margaret and Esther, sailing from Bombay 4 days later. On January 1st, 1929, New Year's Day, Bu Sahib complained, there are so many in the Mandali these days, and the activities being less and less, they do nothing but eat. To reduce expenses, it is advisable to reduce their number. Baba replied, don't worry, everything will be all right. Last year it was the Prem Ashram boys who were crying, and this year it will be we who are weeping. Baba started giving out hints that he would soon close the school, and the next day 9 of the boys were sent home. This is 1929. Meanwhile, Rustam and his family had moved to Nasik. The women Mandali were sent to Nasik, where arrangements for their stay had been made at Rustam's new house. Relocating the women was due to Baba's plan to go on tour with the men Mandali. Although some of the boys had left, it was a shock when Abdullah, the favorite of all, declared that he too was leaving. None of the Mandali had anticipated this, though for several days Abdullah had been speaking of going somewhere else. The Mandali had taken his remarks lightly, but this time he was serious and decided to leave. Surprisingly, Baba did not try to dissuade him. However, the school was closed in the afternoon on January 3rd to give him a befitting farewell. The teachers made speeches praising Abdullah, and he was given a new coat and chappals. He left for the station in a tonga with Borker to catch the 5 o'clock train. Rasahib followed them by bicycle. In the evening, the staff and the boys waited by the railroad tracks in Meherabad to wave to his train as it passed. That night, while with the Mandali, Baba revealed, the time for a world upheaval is near at hand. I shall speak out to mankind and make my voice heard and felt throughout the world. Padre and Adi had been in Bombay arranging Meredith Starr and the ladies' passage to England. While returning to Meherabad on January 5th, they were startled to see Abdullah walking on the Arngon road. He had decided to return after only 2 days, and they picked him up and brought him back to the ashram. Referring to Dastur's periodical Meher message, Baba informed the Mandali on January 6th, I am keeping quite aloof from Meher message, and I have no connection with it. It is a matter between you and Dastur. I have nothing to do with it. Hearing this, Dastur became very upset and had a heated argument with Rasahib. Baba calmed them both and afterward clarified a matter which Dastur had dealt with erroneously. Quote from Halaj, written by Baba in 1929.
I am he whom I love, and he whom I love is I. We are two spirits dwelling in one body. If thou seest me, thou seest him. And if thou seest him, thou seest us both.
Wow. Baba, this is Baba's handwriting.
Baba's handwriting, yeah. What he's saying is, he is God, and if you see him, you see God.
I am he whom I love, and he whom I love, I am. We are two spirits dwelling in our one body. If thou seest me, thou seest him. And if thou seest him, thou seest us both. Wow.
Yeah.
Later that night, while discussing future plans, Baba explained, I know I will have to suffer much more than Christ, and still I say that I am God. To look at the mentality of educated people, what do they say? Can man ever be God? It is all humbug. But I will continue to say, whatever I am, I am. During a discussion on January 7th, Baba revealed, the God you are in search of is not up in the sky. He is here, on this plane. I am that.
Wow. Wow.
I am in you, so search for me within yourself. I am not in any mosque, temple, or church. You may claim that that is impossible, totally impossible. All right then, tell me, do your eyes see yourself? They see the world, but they do not see you. For that you have to use a mirror. Similarly, through the mirror of love, you have to see yourself. And the person who has the mirror is the perfect master and no one else. Only a perfect master has the mirror of love. During this period, Baba was fond of quoting a couplet of the Sufi master, that's at Al-Halaj to the boys in Mandalay, which we just read.
Yeah.
Baba once wrote it out for a dedication page of a book written about his life in Gujarat by Bailey. Bauji writes, I am he whom I love, and he whom I love is I. Oh, this is Baba's quote.
Yeah.
I am he whom I love, and he whom I love is I. We are two spirits dwelling in one body. If thou seest me, thou seest him. And if thou seest him, thou seest us both. Pendu caught a cold and had been coughing for many days. Dr. Sath prescribed some medicine for him. Baba's brother Bairam, who was the compounder, mistakenly added some hydrochloric acid while making the medicine. When Pendu swallowed the mixture, he felt as if his throat was on fire, and his condition became serious. Baba immediately had Adi drive Pendu by car to Sassoon Hospital in Pune. Nusawan and Dr. Sath accompanied them. The doctors were prepared to operate on Pendu's throat. When this news was conveyed to Baba, he lost his temper and began flinging things about. The terrible mood lasted for half an hour before he became calm again. The next day, January 8th, a telegram was received that Pendu's operation had been averted. Nothing serious had happened except that the painful burning sensation continued. Bairam did not disclose his mistake, but Baba found out about it later. Pendu recovered and returned to Meherabad a week later. Baba immediately sent him north to Quetta to work with Rusun Arani. Meanwhile, Gustaji's brothers Slamson...
That's Katie's dad.
Oh, wow. Meanwhile, Gustaji's brothers Slamson and Homi had left Meherabad for Indore. Baba announced that he and a select group of men and boys would be leaving on a walking tour. On January 12th, preparations began for sending away all the boys of both the Meher and Prem ashrams. Telegrams were promptly sent to the boys' parents or guardians, informing them the school was closing. On January 13th, Aga Ali's father was the first to arrive to take his son away. Baba had warned, if Ali goes, all go. and this seemed to be happening, for the rest of the boys departed for home later that same day. Rao Sahib set off for Iran with the Persian boys. They were especially heartbroken, clinging to Baba's feet and weeping at the time of leaving. Watching them leave, Baba remarked to Ramju, "You can now see that the closing of the ashram has some connection with Ali." On January 15th, Baba left Meherabad with a group of 18. Ali Akbar, Vaidul, brothers Jal and Behram, Busahib, Shagan, Dara, Faram, Gustaji, Karim, Manakar, Masaji, Pesu, Pleader, Rustam Dinyar, Mera Banbur, Subnis, and Vishnu. Chandji was sent to Bombay for some work. Baba planned to walk to the village of Kolapur via Panhapur, but first went to Ahmednagar, where the group stayed at Akbar Press for 2 days. But at Akbar Press, no wonder people go visit it, because Baba was there.
But isn't Akbar Press in Nagar? Isn't that?
Yeah, it's almost dilapidated. No. Akbar Press is downtown near the SD. It's near the SD bus station.
Really?
Yeah, it's a dilapidated. And people
but no one lives there now.
I think Meher Colony was almost behind that.
I gotta visit it, man.
I know, there's so much.
Yeah.
Leaving there by truck, they traveled to Dawn, arriving on the evening of January 17th. They had to spend the night in an open space near the train station as the dock bungalow was occupied.
Bless you.
Thank you. The next day, they walked 8 miles to the village of Patas, where they stayed in a dock bungalow. Baba then changed plans, and instead of walking to Kolhapur, headed toward Karad, the holy place of pilgrimage in Satara district. At dawn on January 19th, they walked 12 miles to Rawangyon, but along the way, Baba severely twisted his ankle. By the time they reached Rawangyon, Baba's leg was paining him so much that it was decided to rest there in the dock bungalow. You know what the dock bungalow is? D-A-K?
Yeah.
It's just like...
It's kind of like
a rest
the British
house.
built it. The British built them. So it was
they're
kind
like
of
rest houses.
Rest houses, yeah.
At midnight on January 20th, they walked 11 miles to Dixal, where they stayed in a dharmashala. Now that's different than a dock bungalow. A dock bungalow...
More like a hostel.
I see.
Yeah.
Jal named the group the Bats, since during the entire journey they continued to do their walking at night. Jal was funny. Baba's ankle was not healing, so he decided to cut the walking to a short and return to Ahmednagar. On January 24th, they left Dixal by truck, but were forced to travel by train from Dawn, as the truck had broken down along the way. They reached Akbar Press the same day. They returned to Meherabad after only 12 days on January 27th. Later the same day, Masaji arrived from Nasik with the women Mandalay, who came for a short visit with Baba. Baba's mood was tranquil, and he decided to end the tour for a while and stay on at Meherabad, which was quiet and deserted since most of the people had gone. Well, why don't we end there and begin back at page 1139 is where we end, and we'll most likely, definitely, we'll only have 14 pages. Yeah. We'll finish next week.
Probably.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Jai Baba. Okay, Jai Baba. This is the Lord Meher meeting, March 31st, the last day of March 1998. We're in volume 3 of Baba Kalchuri's epic work, Lord Meher, the Avatar of the Age, biography of the Avatar of the Age, Meher Baba, volume 3, the years 1925 to 29, page 1138, The Walking Tour. Baba announced that he and a select group of men and boys would be leaving on a walking tour. On January 12th, preparations began for sending away all the boys of both the Meher and Prem Ashram. Telegrams were promptly sent to the boys' parents or guardians, informing them that the school was closing. On January 13th, Aga Ali's father was the first to arrive to take his son away. Baba had warned, if Ali goes, all go, and this seemed to be happening, for the rest of the boys departed for home later the same day. Rao Sahib set off for Iran with the Persian boys. They were especially heartbroken, clinging to Baba's feet and weeping at the time of leaving. Watching them leave, Baba remarked to Ramju, "You can now see that the closing of the ashram has some connection with Ali." On January 15th, Baba left MeherBaba with a group of 18, Ali Akbar, Baidul, brothers Jal and Behram, Busahib, Chagan, Dara, Faram, Gustaji, Karim, Manikar, Masaji, Pesu, Pleader, Rustam, Dinyar, Mera Banpur, Subnas, and Vishnu. Chanji was sent to Bombay for some work. Baba planned to walk to the village of Kolhapur via Pandapur, but first went to Ahmednagar, where the group stayed at Akbar Press for 2 days. Leaving there by truck, they traveled to Doan, arriving on the evening of January 17th. They had to spend the night in an open space near the train station as the Dak bungalow was occupied. The next day they walked 8 miles to the village of Patas, where they stayed in the Dak bungalow. Baba then changed plans, and instead of walking to Kolhapur, headed towards Karad, a holy place of pilgrimage in the Satara district. At dawn on January 19th, they walked 12 miles to Rangawaran, but along the way, Baba severely twisted his ankle. By the time they reached Rawangaon, Baba's leg was paining him so much that it was decided to rest there in the Dak bungalow. At midnight on January 20th, they walked 11 miles to Dixil, where they stayed in a dharmashala. Jal named the group the Bats. Since the entire journey, they continued to do their walking at night. Baba's ankle was not healing, and he decided to cut the walking tour short and return to Ahmednagar. On January 24th, they left Dixil by truck, but were forced to travel by train from Dawn, as the truck had broken down along the way. They reached Akbar Press the same day. They returned to Meherabad after only 12 days on January 27th. Later the same day, Masaji arrived from Nasik with the women Mandalay, who came for a short visit with Baba. Baba's mood was tranquil, and he decided to end the tour for a while and stay on at Meherabad, which was quiet and deserted since most of the people had gone. Meanwhile, Aga Ali had managed to escape from his home in Bombay, and he returned to Meherabad on January 17th, 2 days after Baba's walking tour had started. The Mandali informed his father of his whereabouts, but this time Haji Mohammed had a change of heart and allowed his son to stay. January 28 was observed as Hazrat Babajan's birthday. Baba had the occasion celebrated with 3 hours of singing and dancing by the local villagers. Kali Mama, who was the chief officer of Dhulia municipality, had been repeatedly requesting the master to visit his house. Baba finally agreed to come on February 5th. With Bua Sahib, Jal, Dahaki, Shahnahe, Vishnu, Baba was driven to Dhulia in Adi K. Rani's new Chevrolet. Oh, you need water? Oh, Baba. You okay? You're saying you need Avdam and Baba Kitchen?
This is another wrong way, sorry.
Oh, you okay. Well, let's take a sip of tea in your honor. Baba, health mark.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Frank.
At noon, they reached the village of Malgyan, where Dahaki's father-in-law, Bapu Puranik, warmly received them. Baba saw Dahaki's newborn son, Kaimiakar, and then left, reaching Dhulia in the early evening. Kali Mama gave Baba and the group a hearty reception, and Baba spent the night at his house. Can you imagine the fortune? This guy invites Baba, and he not only comes over, he spends the night. You know what I would do with that bed? That bed would be shrine.
Yeah.
I really would.
No,
or the dishes. Or even Baba, if Baba sat in my kitchen chair, well, they usually sit on the ground, don't they?
Yeah.
But wherever Baba, I mean, it would be this hollow ground, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they thought of it as such at that time in 1929. But
I'm sure they did, because they invited Baba, you know. They knew. They had a feeling. And Baba was so beautiful back then.
Oh, magnificent. The next day, Adi drove the group to Yeola, but as he had to go to Nasik for some work, Baba and the group boarded a train and arrived in Ahmednagar at midnight. They went on to Meherabad, where Baba began staying in the Jopti. On the evening of February 15th, while Baba was sitting with the Mandali discussing various subjects, Rustam mentioned to Baba, "If you would perform a miracle, thousands of people would come to your feet." Baba did not reply. Rustam further said, Baba, you should raise an incredible tower here in one night, higher and grander than the Kuta Mintar in Delhi. If you do so, millions would come to you and accept you as a perfect master, God in human form. How will people believe in you without you proving your powers? Baba was not impressed by Rustam's inquiry and dictated this reply. Have you ever heard of any Sadguru or the Avatar having performed such a feat? The effect of such a miracle would be disastrous. You think millions would approach me and enter the spiritual path? You are right in a way. There would be no limit to their numbers, and they would come to revere me. But so many would come full of worldly desires they wish to have fulfilled. Those who need money would say, you have raised such a big minaret in one night. Why don't you give us a few thousand rupees by your powers? Some would come in the hope of my relieving them of their suffering. Others would come with the desire to be freed of their worldly entanglements. It would reach such an extent that those who really wanted to live a life of renunciation would approach me thinking I should tell them to stop all the austerities and penances which they must undergo and give them liberation by my miracle. They wouldn't come to me for myself or out of love for me. They would come out of their love for miracles and world, and as a result achieve nothing. This whole world is an illusion, and a miracle is an illusion into illusion. Someone then posed a question to Baba why he did not destroy all this illusion. Baba gave this explanation in reply. The sun that gives you light at present will burst after many crores, C-R-O-R-E-S, tens of millions of years. But another sun will take its place. The earth is getting cooler and will eventually turn into a moon. But another planet, just like the present earth, will take its place. What has been in the past will be in the future. The processes of evolution and involution will go on forever. Ignorance and creation go hand in hand. The following day, Baba's parents, Shiriyar and Shireen, came in advance to attend his birthday celebration.
Let's hang on for just a second, because the last couple of statements were so profoundly beautiful. You know what I mean? Let's sort of bypass them. Because when you were reading the first statement where Rustam was asking Baba to put up a minaret and draw all these thousands and thousands of people, it reminded me of Jesus, you know. It said that Jesus will come again in clouds of glory, which means that he would be as Jesus, but people wouldn't see him. You know what I mean? The minaret, they would see the minaret if they but they, you know what I mean? It's like, so Baba is really just coming for the real people. You know what I mean? He's not into attracting thousands. He doesn't want huge.
That's a key issue. Yeah, he's not for the masses.
No,
he's for those that love God to an extent they suffer. They go through austerities. They're not. He's not for the ones that want miracles to alleviate suffering or give them this or that. In fact, he says, "I've come to strip you of your wants and desires."
But I mean,
that's
look
the key
at
point.
the openness and accessibility, Baba. Because right after that, they talk about the future of the earth and the suns and the moons. I mean, Baba had said, there will be another earth to take the place of this earth, because it can't go on forever.
It's cooling,
and another sun that will come when the sun burns out. So, I mean, the knowledge that he was giving then, I think it's easier for us to accept that now.
70 years later.
But I mean, it's so profoundly beautiful what he was. I mean, because when people read this in the future, they will say this is really the true avatar, because he doesn't want anybody. You know what I mean? He is only going for the true love of God.
Exactly.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't want any followings. Because a lot of people, when they ask who you follow, I say MeherBaba. They say, what has he done?
Right.
What has he done?
Yeah.
Is he a Jesus?
Has he done
what Jesus did? Did he raise the dead? Did he do this?
Yeah, like this couple yesterday, they went to Sai Baba, Sai Baba, in Orange County. They have a huge place, and people who don't believe in God or miracles, they see miracles from him, and they believe in him because of that.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? So what does Baba do? Baba doesn't do miracles. How can he be real?
Exactly. That's what they do.
But Baba doesn't want that, you know. He doesn't want just
he don't.
anybody. He doesn't, you know what I mean?
No,
he doesn't want to attract, you know. He just will get the few that he really likes,
he don't want
like
that.
Sam.
The following day, Baba's parents Shariar and Shireen came in advance to attend his birthday celebration. They had an hour-long discussion with him about family matters in the evening. Meher Baba's 35th birthday was celebrated in Meherabad on Sunday, February 17, 1929. The official program that day was as follows. 7 to 8 a.m., tea with rava, this is a sweet dish. 8 to 10 a.m., puja ceremony and arangon. 10 to 11 a.m., Baba's bath and the washing of his feet by 200 devotees.
There's a lot of people still.
The washing of Baba's feet.
Yeah.
11 to 12 p.m., talk about Baba's life by Angal Fleeter. Baba rocked in a cradle. Oh, they're going to rock him like a baby.
And they did it for Krishna, you know.
12 to 2 p.m., lunch. They take a 2-hour lunch. They know how to live with it. 2 to 7 p.m., Qawwali singing with an interval for tea.
Well, I think the 2-hour lunch is because there's so many people, you can't feed everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, they like to relate.
Think of that, yeah.
7 to 9, dinner. 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., play and procession from Meherabad to Arangon with band and dancing by the villagers.
This is through the night.
6 hours, 9 to 3. That's why, no, you see, they capture the moment of the celebration.
Yes.
When you go by past 12 midnight and your celebration is continuing, that is a sign of great grandeur. You follow me? That's why you remember the speakers from Arangon? Were you there whenever there was a festival going on?
But this is amazing. Read the whole schedule again if you don't mind.
Okay, 7 to 8 was tea
in the morning
with Rava, a sweet dish.
Yes.
Then 8 to 10, 2 hours, a puja ceremony in Arangon. Puja is prayers.
Ceremony, yeah.
10 to 11, well actually puja is where you like take the milk and the incense and the flowers and you fire, you wave it in front of Baba's photo.
Exactly.
And
in front of Baba
in front of Baba directly.
Yes, yeah. So he's letting them celebrate his birthday, you know, his mom and dad came.
And then 10 to 11, Baba's bath and the washing of his feet by 200 devotees. Wow.
That's unbelievable. I wonder how that was done, you know.
11 to 12, talk about Baba's life by Angal Pleader.
Wow.
And Baba rocked in a cradle. And 12 to 2, lunch. 2 to 7, Qawwali singing with an interval for tea, so that must be
5 hours.
Probably the tea was about 5 o'clock. They have tea, you know.
But that's awesome, though. Can you imagine 5 hours of...
See, they eat dinner late. See, dinner's 7 to 9.
Yeah.
They like to eat late, because I remember in India, we ate 8 o'clock. Dining hall.
Yeah.
Because that's after Arti, though. They won't.
Right, exactly.
And then 9 to 3 a.m., play and procession from Meherabad to Arangon with band and dancing by the villagers. Wow. That night, a play was staged by a local drama troupe. Before Baba retired at 3 o'clock, several thousand people had taken his darshan.
Wow, you see, look, yeah.
The next morning at 9 o'clock in the water tank hall, number 1, a master classical singer named Krishna sang to Baba for 4 hours. Baba did not usually enjoy classical singing, but he was so pleased with Krishna's performance that he presented him with an elaborately woven spread.
Wow.
Again, at 3 in the afternoon, a Qawwali singer named Pyaroo, Pyaroo, sang for 6 hours. And Baba highly praised his voice.
Wow.
So why there's 2 dynamite guys.
6 hours of singing.
6 hours, man. Well, the other guy sang for 3.
4.
They
were both devotees of Baba?
No,
they were
classical singers.
They were just singers who were invited. Right. They were so great artists. They were invited to sing.
Oh, okay.
And so they sang. Who knows? Maybe they.
One was classical and the other was a.
They could have been. They could have been maybe Baba.
I don't think so.
They usually invited them like from parts of India.
Special,
yeah.
What And date is this?
1929, March,
1929.
February 17th, 1920. From the Mandali, from the 21st of February, there will be an absolute stop to darshan. And stop means stop.
Wow.
But this new restriction applied only to outsiders, those unfamiliar to Baba or the Mandali. We're on page 1141, by the way, in this side B of this tape. Okay, why don't you pick it up on February 21st?
On February 21st, Baba selected 5 men to be writers: Dastur, Chanji, Manakar, Ramju, and Rao Sahib, who had recently returned to MeherBabaLibrary from Persia. A committee was established and came to be known as the Divine Knowledge Publishers. Each of the men was given a separate room in which to write. Baba ordered Dastur to write in English, Ramju in Hindi and Urdu, Rao Sahib in Persian, Chanji in Gujarati, and Manakar in Marathi. 2 o'clock in the afternoon was fixed for the committee to meet with Baba and receive his advice about their respective writing projects. But during this entire period, they had the chance of seeing him only twice. I was just thinking, I was reading how fortunate they were, the accessibility of Baba in those days, But they only saw him twice. Necessary writing materials such as paper, pen, and ink were supplied to them. Only Manakar was given specific instructions about his project. He was to first translate Ramju's manuscript, Sobs and Throbs, into Marathi, which is an awesome book, by the way, and then to write MeherBaba's biography in Marathi. The other writers continued the work in which they were already engaged. Dastur with a magazine, Mehr Message, Ramju with Urdu articles for the newspapers, Chanji with Gujarati newspaper articles and pamphlets, and Rao Sahib with the first book to be published in Persian about the Master and the Meher and Prem ashrams, entitled Kashful Hakakyak, or The Revelation of Truth. Shall I spell it?
That's okay.
Okay.
You got it.
Up until 1929, the family quarters property in Arangaon had been rented. Earlier, Baba had tried to buy it for 1,000 rupees and later for 1,500, but the landlady refused to sell it. Unexpectedly, on February 21st, the woman of her own came to the master and was willing to settle for only 500 rupees. The legal deed was arranged and it became Baba's first property in the village. So this is Arangaon. I wonder which area this is, Anyway, from February 22nd, Baba took on the work of bathing the boys, washing their clothes, and sweeping their quarters. Brother Jal, Pleader, and Karim were his helpers, although their only duty consisted in keeping boiling water ready for Baba and handing him the filled buckets when he bathed the boys. Everything else Baba insisted on doing himself. That day the school was reopened. The boys had been on a week's holiday since Baba's birthday. In late February, Meherji returned to MeherBabaLibrary. He intended on going to Persia to work and wished to have Baba's darshan and permission before departing. The proprietor of a firm had offered him a salary of 60 rupees per month, but Baba advised him not to accept the job. After some days, the proprietor approached Meherji with an enhanced offer of nearly double the salary. This time Baba allowed him to accept the job. Before Meherji departed, Baba remarked, "You may go and I will follow you. My nazar is on you." Meherji left for Persia as a lowly employee, but returned to India a very prosperous businessman some 16 years later. Wow, and that's really Baba's grace that Baba told him.
Wait a minute. Meherji, that's a Meherji?
Meherji.
So he was sent to Persia.
He was offered a job, and Baba said, "Don't take it for the money that he's offering." The guy then doubled it. And
Oh, so Baba gave him some advice.
well, Baba just said don't. He just said don't accept. And then
I see. He
Yeah.
said don't accept it. Then later on, the guy then said, "Listen."
double the offer.
So
and
Baba
said,
didn't say anything about it. Baba just sort of approved it then.
Right.
So the guy went. So he went.
And he came back prosperous.
But that created this prosperity.
Yeah,
So that's 16 years?
16 years later. So from 29,
So how old was he then?
Merji,
Probably
he was
about
younger.
Baba's age.
A little bit younger, I imagine.
Maybe he was 25.
Yeah.
So he came back about 41.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would have been about the year 39, in the mid-40s.
Right.
So then he worked in Bombay then.
Right.
No,
wasn't it Pune? Wasn't it in Pune?
Pune.
Yeah.
He was successful.
He became a successful. Came back very prosperous, it says. Yeah.
Wow.
A very prosperous businessman 16 years later. And he started White Cloud. There's more of that, I guess, later. Baba regarded Sadhu Lake highly and made these remarks about him on February 24th. He is the member of the circle about whom I have been often mentioning. He is a real man. Wow. Have you heard of Sadhu Lake before?
Who?
Sadhu,
Please.
Leik. I think I remember Baba mentioning before.
Oh yeah, we mentioned earlier.
Yes, like
Sadhu,
yes, exactly.
Like.
I don't know how to pronounce, but he is a member of the circle about whom I've been often mentioning. Wow, he is a real man. There is a vast difference between Meredith Star and Sadhu Lake. They are poles apart. Star, however, has been instrumental in bringing him here. Baba concluded with this poetic comment: the real one comes, the unreal goes. During the last week of February, a Meher ashram boy named Genu Chamhar fell ill with pneumonia, and his condition grew serious. Day and night Baba nursed him and arranged the best treatment for him. The boy was even moved to Baba's underground crypt cabin, and Baba would visit him as soon as he came up the hill at 7 or 8 every morning. Genu was seemingly in a state of delirium and extremely weak, but his love and devotion was so great that as soon as he saw the master coming, he would go to him and lay his head at Baba's feet. Baba always consoled him tenderly. Sidhu and Subnis were told to look after Genu, and his family were informed of his critical condition. Genu's father came to Meherabad and wanted to take him home. Baba tried to persuade him not to, but he would not listen. Baba sent Pesu to arrange for a taxi and ordered, when the taxi arrives, Genu should be put in it and no one should do anything more regarding him. However, when the taxi arrived, Pesu and Sidhu urged Genu's father, Why do you want to take him home? He's been given the best possible treatment here, and Baba himself is attending him. Genu's relatives agreed, and the father eventually consented. I don't know if this is going to upset Baba now. Pesu and Sidhu were happy with their efforts and went to inform Baba that Genu would stay. However, when he heard this, instead of being pleased, Baba was extremely upset. He angrily demanded, Why did you break my order? I had told you to send Genu away immediately as soon as the taxi arrived. Why inform me you have done otherwise? While Baba was scolding them, Genu's father appeared and begged Baba's forgiveness, praying to him to let his son stay at Meherabad. Baba replied, That time has gone now. But if you wish him to be here, keep him here at your own risk. I will no longer be responsible for Genu. I have severed my connection with him. He will be given the best treatment and attention, but I will not in the least be responsible. So Genu's father accepted responsibility for the decision, and Baba agreed to let the boy remain in Meherabad. But Baba did not enter Genu's room even once that day. At midnight, February 24th, Genu died.
Oh no, Baba.
His father felt great remorse for not listening to Baba. And Sidhu and Pesu also repented for having not literally carrying out the master's instructions.
What was that again? Why? Sidhu? That's why.
Well, you remember Sidhu and Pesu, they then persuaded the father to change his mind, you see.
Oh.
You see, I mean, the father had insisted on taking the son.
And Sidhu.
And then Baba consented, and then gave instructions to Sidhu and Pesu.
But they tried to talk the father off.
And they persuaded him.
Oh my.
And then they go tell Baba, Baba, he's agreed. Baba says, why did you disobey me? I've severed the connection now, and so if he stays, I will not even see him.
And so then the boy dies.
The boy dies. And so now the father is repentant, and Sidhu and Pesu are also fully
they must have felt terrible.
Yeah.
Boy, you don't mess around with the other.
No.
And people just...
I was surprised when it started saying, because remember I said to you, I wonder what Baba's going to think about this. Remember?
Yeah.
They were changing the father's mind.
Yeah, boy, you thought a lot about it.
Oh. But there was a greater significance in the boy's death, as Baba later remarked. Genu has won.
He's won?
He has won, yes.
So, meaning he's given him liberation?
No, but he says, but his father, Sidhu and Pesu have lost. He is with me.
Oh, so that means he liberated him.
He is freed and has no more births left.
Oh my God.
He has attained mukti. So Baba really knew that. You know what I mean? So Baba was going to give him the mukti, I think, all along, But can you imagine this teenager? I mean, I don't know how old Genu was, but he's a boy, and he got liberation.
Wow.
I think it's probably because Baba nurtured him, Well, here we go. This is, I guess, a Bauji. It's in bold letters. With his last breath, Baba's name was on Genu's lips. He called out for Baba, and his soul merged with God.
How's Genu spelled?
Genu.
Oh, it's a simple name.
Yeah, why is it?
It looks like gene. Like genius.
Would it be Genu? I think Genu sounds more Indian.
It looks like genie. Like a Genu.
It could be Genu, but I think it's like Genu. Sounds more like Indian. Okay, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's sort of a neat name.
Yeah, Genu. Although the boy achieved the goal of life when he died, union with God, his death provided an invaluable lesson to his father, Sidhu and Pesu, which they remembered for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? It's like he really won, but they all felt,
they must have been,
Yeah, but that's pretty awesome. The Baba said he won, he won, but they all felt remorse for what they had done.
Because they had to live with it.
Yeah. One day, soon after Genu's death, Baba commented about various problems. Due to the demise of Arjun, who died away from me, there were many changes. I stopped writing, began using this alphabet board, and the schools were started at MeherBabaLibrary. It was all for the best until 1928, when Abdullah had his experience of the sixth flame. From then on, the fire of love began speaking through the boys in the Prem Ashram. But when the Muslim boy Hussein was thrashed and beaten in my presence by his close relatives, coupled with the continual nuisance of Aga Ali's father, I had to leave MeherBabaLibrary temporarily for Toka. There was no other point in going to Toka and spending so much money unnecessarily, but this reason was there. Wow. That's amazing. I said what Baba would go through. And now a new difficulty, Genu's death. When Ali's father listens to reason, another trouble crops up. This is the last chance for the boy's ashram. If Ali's father again comes, we will not try to persuade him to let Ali remain. If not, I will close up the whole shebang. Baba's word. For the time being, we should let things carry on as they are. If this 1 year passes smoothly, I will make Abdullah such that he will carry the whole world in his pocket. If not, then I intend to leave India for Persia. Meanwhile, in order to wipe out the mixed effects of Genu's death, we should proceed to Happy Valley for 2 or 3 days. The moment we return, duty should be divided as follows. I'll look after the Prem Ashram, Bau Saheb is to supervise the Mandali, and Baidul would attend the garden. Our work will progress with double the force if Baidul does his duty in the garden enthusiastically and with honest labor. Accordingly, a short trip to Happy Valley was arranged. The group left MeherBabaLibrary on foot at 7 in the evening, staying overnight at Akbar Press. They love Akbar Press. Early the next morning, they set out on the road for Happy Valley. While walking on the outskirts of Ahmednagar, they were passed by marching army troops. The boys walked behind Baba, looking like little monks, and the Mandali followed in odd assorted outfits. Meanwhile, the soldiers in uniform stormed past them on the road. And here's a photo of Baba during the late 20s in Bombay.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
Yeah. After going some distance, Baba halted for a short rest. He asked if there was anything to eat. They had brought nothing. Baba lamented, "This is my luck. I have not eaten anything since yesterday, and I am very hungry. Despite there being half a dozen orderlies fussing about me, just see how they take care of me. To pay attention to what I say and desire is real meditation. What better meditation could there be than that?" Even though they had walked 17 miles, the boys were not tired. Reaching Happy Valley at about 10 o'clock, they had a meal, and Baba made the boys rest. The next day, February 27th, Baba took a few boys sightseeing to Manjar Suba Hill and other spots, but he returned within 15 minutes. Meanwhile, the Mandali and the remaining boys had been divided into 2 groups, the Hindus led by Dake and the Iranis by Baidul, and each group went to climb a hill nearby. Baba was so upset not to find anyone at the Dak Bungalow when he returned that he lost his temper and beat 2 of the men without any apparent reason. He began cursing. I wonder what Baba used to say when he would curse, you know?
Silence.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, obviously the alphabet boy. He began cursing those who were not present. Why and when and with whose permission have they gone? Were they aware that I would require their presence at any time, particularly here, where I've come for enjoyment to relax and play cards? Baba played cards even back then? I didn't know. Baba was especially annoyed at Baidul. For half an hour he expressed anxiety about the missing groups. He tried playing a game of cards with Chanji but seemed uninterested. He kept asking, "What are they trying to do? Kill themselves? Those idiots? Do they want to die?" Though he repeated this, no one could follow what Baba meant. But when Baidul's and Dake's groups returned, they reported that 3 of the boys, while hiking on the hill, had narrowly escaped falling into the valley below and being killed. The next morning at 6 o'clock, Baba returned to MeherBabaLibrary with the boys in a motor trolley. Bua Saheb and Gustaji followed in the bullock cart, which the group had brought with them to haul their beddings and other necessities. On the way back, the cart overturned. Bua Saheb was saved from harm, though Gustaji received minor injuries. On the evening of March 2nd, during a discussion with Nusarwan, Satha, KJ Dastur and Vishnu about the current Indian political affairs, Baba stated, "The British are the greatest benefactors for India. They sweep away all its bad sanskaras. Yet the Indians bawl out and curse them because they do not understand this. If India were benefited materially, it would be thrown back spiritually. It would even worse. It would even be worse than England. The reverse effect would be greater. But it's so true though, because remember Vijay Meshram, he said, the British did so much good in India. They have the best railway system because of the British.
Exactly.
They built an infrastructure like you cannot believe. All these dak bungalows, the British built all of these that people stay at. Baba would often stay at them, But they laid an infrastructure that was unbelievable. And yet Baba was saying that they took away the bad sanskaras as well, Pretty amazing stuff there. The Prem Ashram school was reopened earlier that day, but during the next 2 months, Baba seemed to be winding down the numerous activities at Meherabad. It was evident that he no longer wished to remain there as his work with the school and boys was nearing completion. During March and April, many of the men mandali were sent to different places for work. Pendu was still in Quetta, Chanji and Rao Saheb were sent to Bombay to arrange for printing their writings. Bua Saheb and Brother Behram were sent home to Pune. Padri Edke Masaji, Kaikushru Masa and Babu Rao were in Nasik, and Baidul and Ardashir were sent to Bombay to sell Rao Saheb's new book, The Revelation of Truth. On March 6, while explaining about death and experiencing gross impressions in the subtle state, Baba disclosed, suppose a person dies, and his greater number of good sanskaras take him to the subtle state, to heaven. There he experiences, without a physical body, the result of his good sanskaras in his past life. Similarly, if he had a greater number of bad sanskaras, they take him to hell, and he experiences those sanskaras without a body. In both cases, the grossness of either good or bad sanskaras is wiped out either in heaven or in hell, and still the faint stain of these sanskaras remains in the mind. These are subtle impressions. Suppose a dish of food overturns in your lap, and your clothes become soiled with spots. You immediately remove or throw away the food, the gross impressions, but the stains remain. These stains are like subtle impressions. Sanskaras remain connected with the environment where a person dies for 2 or 3 days after death. Although they are disconnected from the environment after 2 or 3 days, they are not spent either in hell or heaven for 10 to 12 days after death. They remain unspent during this period. Wow. And here is a 1147 little note. 1147. This is actually the last little note here.
Right. So maybe we could finish this chapter.
Yeah. For the further explanation of heaven and hell, which are the 2 sections of the second plane in the subtle world, read the nothing and the everything page. Pages 72 to 76. So let's see how many more pages. I think we maybe have 3 pages of this or so.
That's great.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's finish it.
Okay, we'll see if we can.
Because then we could begin volume 4 next week.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was thinking next week maybe you can conduct, unless you want to do it Monday.
Sure. No, whatever. Will we pause for a second?
Yeah, because I just...
You want to take over or shall I continue? Okay. Baba was planning to go on tour sometime in May. And if to compensate for the time he would be away, he spent nearly every day of March and April with the Prem Ashram boys, discoursing with them, giving them the immeasurable benefit of his personal company. On March 18, the boy Rajaram drank deeply from the cup of wine and became God intoxicated, losing consciousness of his surroundings for more than an hour and a half. When he came out of that state, his eyes looked vacant, and he refused to eat or speak with anyone. His state continued for 3 days, during which time he was completely unconscious of his body. For several days, Rajaram looked more dead than alive, Dastur questioned Baba about Rajaram, asking where Rajaram was as spiritually advanced as Abdullah. No, revealed Baba. He has a long way to go before he reaches Abdullah's sixth plane state. He has experienced an inkling of the bliss and has been enjoying it for 3 days. Now he experiences the gross world as a mirage. When Dastur asked whether Raja Ram would enjoy the bliss permanently, Baba replied, he may or may not, but this idea that the gross world is a mirage will continue to remain firmly fixed in his mind. It will not matter at all if he loses the bliss. It will be replaced by a higher sort of bliss. His spiritual progress will now be very rapid. And lucky guy, you know what I mean? The kids that benefited during this time, he now will just see the world as a mirage forever, Baba says.
Wow.
You know? Amazing time, man. On March 28th, one of the Mandali asked Baba about the existence of matter. You say there is nothing but God, but you cannot deny that matter exists. Yes, I do, replied Baba. I deny that matter exists. There is nothing but God. But Baba, you cannot prove that matter is nothing. I can see my physical body and your body with my own eyes. How can you expect me to believe that matter does not exist? Baba explained, to your mind, matter exists, but only so long as your mind is working. When you are in sound sleep, matter does not exist to you. How then can you say that matter is real? It stands to reason that it is entirely dependent on the workings of your mind. It is an illusion, nothing more or less than the work of your mind. Suppose when it is pitch dark and you are walking somewhere, you happen to see an object and jump back, concluding that it is a man whom you take to be a robber. You become frightened, but fortunately see another man walking toward you. Both of you decide to catch the thief. You cautiously approach the object, but no sooner do you begin beating it than you discover to your surprise that it is not a robber, but a boulder. It was a mere stone, but until you discovered this, to your mind it was a robber. It's amazing, this stuff, the analogies that Baba would come up with, you know? So like this boulder appears to be Anyway, pointing to the wooden stool, one of the Mandali asked if that wasn't matter. This is great the way they are. To you it seems to be matter, but to me it is Atma, a soul. This is Baba saying this. What you call matter is nothing. Baba then narrated the story from his youth. When I was a boy in Pune, one of my friends was named Kaikushru. He was an Arani who used to make and sell ice cream. He was in the habit of taking bhang, hashish mixed with milk. And once, after drinking some, he went to sell ice cream. On his way there was a small puddle, hardly half a foot wide. But to Kaikushru, that puddle was a lake. He actually ran and jumped 10 feet over it in order to cross it. Now, if you had said to him, this is not a lake, but a tiny puddle, do you think he would have believed you? He would have called you mad. To him it was a lake. Similarly, to you, all this before you is matter, but to me it is nothing. Just as matter does not exist in your sound sleep, so it does not exist in my awake state. When you experience unconsciously in the sound sleep state, so we God-realized persons experience in the awake state. Our awake state is real, but yours is false. When you realize God, you will see for yourself the existence of matter is due to the existence of the mind. When the mind disappears, matter also vanishes. This is pretty amazing because it gives you an insight into Baba. Because Baba is saying he doesn't see the material. You know, that's pretty mind-blowing. You know what I mean? Because he says, that stool, I don't see a stool. 2 hours later, Baba went to Nasik to visit the women Mandli and returned on April 3rd. Meanwhile, at the end of March, Manekar left for Thulia, where he found a job. On April 1st, Sadhu Lake left by Baba's instructions to tour India and delivered lectures about Baba. On April 11th, Baba went to see the new hostel of the National High School in Ahmednagar. He walked to the town at 5 in the morning with a few Mandli, stopping first at Akbar Press. After performing the opening ceremony of the new school building, he returned by truck to Meherabad in the evening. Baba continued to give his constant comment to the boys during April. Since he intended to go on tour, there was a problem. There was the problem of what to do with the boys who remained behind. After being in such close association with Baba, it would have meant death to them to return to their parents. Yet at the same time, some of the parents might have objected if they had learned that Baba was no longer staying in the ashram. Most of the boys were Hindus, and the main reason their parents were happy to allow them to stay at Meherabad was that they were under the direct supervision of a spiritual master. The problem was solved by a plan to teach the boys a technical skill. Baba decided upon printing, and Vishnu and Jal were sent to Ahmednagar for a month to learn the necessary skills at Mohan printing press, so that they would be able to teach the boys in Baba's absence. Baba even proposed setting up a printing press at Meherabad in the future. On April 22nd, Baba went to Nasik for another 3 days visit with the women Mandli, and then returned to Meherabad. Shanji and Rao Saheb arrived from Bombay on May 1st to consult with Baba about certain publishing matters. On May 2nd, the Prem Ashram was shifted to the family quarters near Arangaon. Baba advised the children, "Remain here and continue your studies as usual. I will come back after some days. See that there is no disturbance in the routine." Following Baba's instructions, Vishnu began teaching them the composing of type with the printing materials they had brought from Ahmednagar. The Mandli as a whole were feeling confused, as no one yet knew where Baba planned to go on tour, or who he would take with him. On the morning of May 5th, Bailey complained to Baba that all of the men were fed up and bored. Hearing this, Baba replied, "I didn't know that. This is the first I've heard about it." He called Baidul and asked, "Are you feeling disgusted?" Baidul denied it. Baba remarked, "At least there is one man here who is not disgusted. All right. In a day or 2 I will set things straight." Then he added in a cryptic tone, "I will go into hiding and you will never be able to find me. I will get myself in prison for 7 years. Pointing to the young Mastan, Baba remarked, "My heart is full of joy when I see Mastan. I forget my own unhappiness on seeing him. He is a king. He has neither lust nor mind. Nor is Maya an influence on him. How beautiful is his state." This Baba with the Mastan in 1929.
Wow.
Yeah. Should I keep going?
No, finish it.
Okay.
Last page.
You're just about. Turning to the men, he added, "Your disgust is the result of all the chaos and confusion of your minds. And when I try to uproot it, you say you feel fed up." After a long tirade, Baba came to know that only Bailey was disgusted, and he reprimanded him for wrongly including the others. That same afternoon at 3 o'clock, Baidul and Meherbanpur left for Persia, and Dara and Sorab Hansotia returned to their homes the following day. Daily discussions were being held in Baba's Jokti about where to travel. Aga Ali wanted to accompany him, but Baba would not allow it. Lately, a change had been observed in Ali's behavior. He had begun disobeying Baba and openly flouting his orders, yet Baba would still embrace him and speak to him lovingly. On May 6th, Agar Ali again broke one of Baba's orders, but Baba excused him. Afterwards, he remarked to the Mandali, "What times you live in? a Sadguru succumbing to a boy. The next day, Ali Akbar was also disobedient, but this time Baba scolded the boy. Later, Ali refused to eat his lunch in the afternoon, despite Baba's persuasion. After a while, though, he sent this message through Rao Sahib: Baba, I seek your forgiveness for troubling you. I am sorry. I will now behave myself. At this, Baba remarked, Ali's heart is very good. He is my Majnun, but at times he is swayed by some kink in him. He is strong in the head, but sincere in the heart. The following is Ramju Abdullah's vivid description of the Persian boy, Ali Akbar, which I imagine is Aluba, you know. The intensity of Ali Akbar's love toward the master was unique. None of the other boys, this is from, Sabs and Throbs. None of the other boys could come to the intense level of his highly active love, which always kept him on the stir, restless. He was seldom seen in one place for long or sitting calmly. When Ali Akbar first joined Meher Ashram, he used to be quite as interested in discussions about love for God and spirituality. He not only showed open disinclination for divine experiences, but used to avoid such subjects and would remain as aloof as possible from meditation and concentration. But when Aga Ali was taken away from his father, Ali Akbar suddenly became surcharged with the divine grace of the Master. He was found literally rolling and reeling in the dust, like a fish out of water, until he came into the Master's physical embrace. Then he would try to enfold Baba in his little arms as furiously as a moth tries to devour the flame. One cannot judge the result of Baba's work with the Prem Ashram boys, as the outcome may not manifest in this birth or in the next, but after several births. But one thing is certain: once lit, the fire of love is never extinguished. The wind may diffuse its heat, but the heat of a raging fire one day engulfs the wind. Therefore, eventually the intoxicated ones in the Beloved's tavern will assuredly swallow the wind of Maya. It is for this that the Beloved has prepared them. On May 8th, Baba sent some for the Hindu children at the school, most of whom were untouchables, and informed them about his coming journey. Until I come back, all of you stay at your homes. Don't go to Ahmednagar or anywhere else. If you find employment, good. Otherwise, pass your time in singing bhajans. When I call you back on my return, you should come without fail. I shall be back within 2 or 3 months. Do as I say and you will be benefited. I will do what I have to do. I will find employment for you as a driver, a mechanic or printer, but for now do as I order. All agreed. Shankarnath persisted in his resolve to stay in Meherabad. Baba eventually agreed, but ordered him to meditate for 12 hours a day. Shankarnath accepted that condition. Baba left for Ahmednagar later that day, accompanied by Ali Akbar, Bua Saheb, Chanji, Chagan, Gustaji, Masaji and Pesu. Ramju and Bailey met them at Akbar Press. A discussion took place over the destination of their journey. Suggestions were put forth, but none satisfied Baba. Baba concluded the discussion by stating his preference of going to Rishikesh. In the interim, Ramju and Bailey returned to Meherabad. Ramju's wife and children stayed in Pune. Aga Ali, Abdullah, Dastur, Rao Saheb, Sidhu, and the rest of the Mahandli stayed in Lower Meherabad, and the other prayer ashram boys, as well as Brother Jal, were moved back up the hill. The Shahane and Bomanji families stayed in the family quarters. On May 9th, Baba left Ahmednagar for Nasik, where he met Mehra, Naja, Khorshid, Suna, Valu and Freni, as well as Rustam and Padri. He sent Padri to Bombay, and Rustam was ordered to continue looking after arrangements for the women mandali in Nasik, while Baba was on tour in the north of India, to the Himalayas.
Wow.
And that's the end of that.
End of volume 3.
End of volume 3.
Meher
Baba ki jai.
Thank you. So Next time, volume 4.
Volume 4.
And what page is that on?
1153. 1153 is the last page of this volume.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
It's the Lord Meher meeting, and it's April the 8th. It's a Wednesday. And we start on volume 4 of Lord Meher tonight.
Oh, cool.
That covers the years 1929 to 1932. And I am fortunate enough to have an autographed copy of volume 4 by the author Bao Kalchuri. He wrote this: with all love to my dear mine, Fred, and sister Gisela. May beloved Avatar Meher Baba touch your hearts with his fire of love, so that the mind of each one of you may burn in the fire and you experience his life eternal in one word. Bao.
Ooh.
It's beautiful, huh? So, in the beginning, in the foreword, it says, the incarnation of God, the Ancient One, the Avatar, the Prophet, the Rasul, the Messiah, the Savior, in the embodiment of Zarathustra, Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Mohammed, and Meher Baba. So, beginning volume 4, there's a beautiful picture of Meher Baba during his travels in India, Bombay 1929, with Ramju Chandji, Naval Taloti, Pudimai, and then next to Baba Kakabaria and Gustaji. Isn't that beautiful picture of Baba? Baba started doing a lot of traveling now. It shows here this map, Meher Baba's journey by train to Rishikesh and Quetta in May of 1929. So it begins in one of my favorite cities, which I had a good chance to visit, Srinagar. Srinagar is in northern India.
Yeah.
It's a Kashmir state. It's the base of the foothills. It's a 99.9% Muslim city. And in fact, if you're in the Indian Army and you're not a Muslim, you don't get stationed there.
Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it's extremists over there. I mean, in fact, they've had some factions of Hindu, Muslim, still bad feelings of there. They want to be actually annexed to Pakistan. Kashmir wants to become a Muslim Pakistan state, but this is a beautiful picture of Baba. This is one of my favorite. I mean, he just looks just divine. I mean,
Mia, come on in here, honey.
what do you want to get one of those? Oh, you'll sit there. Bao begins with a little prose. The Spirit of God had incarnate on earth, and with that Spirit the winds of tumultuous travel stormed upon the world. At Meherabad, late in the afternoon on May 8, 1929, Meher Baba, accompanied by the Prem Ashram boy Ali Akbar and his Mandali Busahib, Chandji, Chuggan, Gustaji, Masaji, and Pesu, left for Ahmednagar. In the town, Ramju and Bailey met them at Akbar Press. Remember that place? You folks ever been to Akbar Press? It's in Nagar near the ST bus station.
I've just been pointed to it.
It's dilapidated.
Yeah.
And in the early 70s, wasn't that where Meher Colony was? Isn't that close to there? Akbar Press?
I think Meher Colony was around there somewhere.
I think Meher Colony. People.
Wasn't Akbar Press part of the Desawala family?
Yes.
Seemed like,
Right. But Meher.
Sam stays there when he's there, and yeah.
Meher Colony was this accommodations, Debbie.
Right.
Remember?
But
it was very, very, very primitive. I mean, people that would stay there would say, well, you got to sort of rough it when you stay in Meher Colony.
Vilu used to threaten everybody with being banished to Meher Colony.
Oh, yes, that's right. Right. It was going like from the penthouse to the, whatever, Yeah, because Meher Colony was just simple dirt floors, a bunk, and it was like, sleeping really like maybe Baba did with the Mandali in the early years.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was just, but of course the food was really Indian hot.
Even in the 70s and 80s it was like that?
Oh, yeah. I think Meher Colony only went to when the Pilgrim Center opened in
It was 1981.
Yeah, when that opened, I think Meher Colony sort of just went by the wayside. Because, it was sort of like a stopgap for accommodations for Westerners, because a lot of them didn't want to stay at a hotel, especially the Ashoka, which were not Baba lover places, And the other hotel that was good was always full, so it was sort of an alternative. In the town, Ramju and Bailey met them at Akbar Press. Soon after, a discussion took place over the destination of their journey. Suggestions were put forth, but none satisfied Baba. Baba concluded the discussion by stating his preference of going to Rishikesh in the Himalayas. The next day, Baba and the group left Ahmednagar for Nasik, where he met Mera, Frani, Naja, Khorshed, Suna, and their servant Valu, as well as Rustam and Padre. He sent Padre to Bombay, and Rustam was ordered to continue looking after the arrangements for the women mandali in Nasik while Baba was on the tour in the north. On May 10th, the group took a bus to Manmad and then left on a Delhi-Allahabad express train for Hardwar. Near the village of Khandwa, an accident occurred. A man was struck by the train and severely injured. Watching the man on the ground, a large crowd gathered, and meanwhile Baba dispatched Chuggan to buy some rice and dal from a vendor. Chuggan thought to himself, a man has just been seriously hurt, and all are rushing to see him, yet this god feels hungry and wants something to eat. How can Baba be so merciless? Who could eat at a time like this? With these thoughts in his mind, Chuggan made his way through the crowd to bring the food, but he could not return as quickly because of the excited crowd on the platform. After some time, Baba lost his patience and sent Gustaji to look for him, and when Chuggan returned, Baba admonished him for taking so long. Watching Baba eat, Chuggan thought, outside a man is dying, and inside divinity himself is quietly enjoying his lunch in peace. How can Baba be so cold? Baba gestured to Chuggan. What are you thinking?
Right.
Chuggan replied that it was nothing, Baba.
Nothing, Baba.
Baba shrugged and then spelled out, you only think of the man who is hurt, but you have no thought for me. How would you help him by thinking about him? Your sympathy is empty. It carries no weight. You see me eating food, but what do you know of what I am really doing for that man? If you believe that everything is in my hands and not a leaf moves without my will, then why don't you accept that whatever has happened to him and whatever will happen to him is according to my will? Your only duty is to follow my wish. Why give importance to your wish? I am eating this food, but it teaches the belly of this man. Oh, I am eating this food, but it reaches the belly of that man. You can't see that. So he was immediately ordering that food to somehow affect this guy. Right. And he was nourishing maybe the guy's health. You can't see that. Remember, I am the benefactor of all. Your sympathy can't, oh, this is good, I got to get this right. Your sympathy cannot do a damn thing. Baba used that word.
Really, a damn thing.
Your sympathy cannot do a damn thing. To fulfill my wish, you have to burn up your desires. Only then will you be fit to serve me. Baba then sent Chuggan to see the injured man. Chuggan was dumbfounded at the scene which met his eyes. The man had not only regained consciousness,
Oh my gosh!
but he was enjoying a cup of hot tea. He was about to be removed to a hospital in an ambulance, and the doctor remarked that there was no serious injury.
Oh my goodness.
He would be all right and be able to walk once his fracture was set. Hearing this, Chuggan repented for his thoughts. The fact was that Baba was not really hungry, but he pretended to be so in order to revive that man and to teach Chuggan a lesson. Wow. And there's a footnote on page 1156 to describe what occurred. My, oh my. That is... Boy. The fact was that Baba was not really hungry, but he pretended to be so in order to teach Chuggan a lesson about how he worked at times. Baba would go to such lengths to drive home a message to his disciples, sacrificing his own comfort and often spending hours in the process for their sakes. Chuggan had learned that he had to set aside his own wishes when serving the Master, but now he learned that his personal thoughts and feelings had no importance in the spirit.